everybody. Welcome back to the Crazy Hockey Dads podcast, the unfiltered podcast for hockey parents. No politics, no sugarcoating, just real talk for hockey parents in the trenches. Welcome back, JT.
Episode 50.
5-0.
5-0, dude.
That's what's up.
It's a little nuts. Not gonna lie.
Well,
50?
You know, every next one is
Yeah, but 50 is milestone.
yeah. Okay.
Listen.
Sure. Is it like in like podcast years? Is that like
I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a badge from our podcast hosting
Ooh.
platform.
Ooh.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm assuming we're gonna get something.
We're
For
gonna
it.
wear the badge.
Well, I don't know about that. That's kind of.
We'll post it. We'll post it on the gram.
We have not posted any of that stuff, by the way.
No, but I mean,
we
like, whatever.
Yeah, no, but man, 50. 50's that's a big number.
Not solid.
Yeah, they say most people don't get past 3.
Really?
That's what they say.
It's a low bar, I think.
I don't think this is as easy as people think it is.
I mean, but 3?
3, dude. They say the majority don't get past 3.
But I'm not talking about quality. Meaning that, like, anyone, anyway, okay. Yeah, I hear you. I'm not taking away from us. Yes, 50 is great. I'm 100% on board.
Listen, I mean, people don't get past 3. And we're in 44 countries. Sorry.
Okay?
Sorry, I was choking on the almond that you gave me upstairs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounded like it.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, 50.
50. You know what? It just makes me think we're almost at a year, which is, it feels more impressive.
We are
than 50.
3 months shy of that, yes.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
We have to do something fun for our year, the year anniversary.
Yeah, like what?
I don't know. We need to come up with something, though. Maybe get you an Eric Lindros jersey.
No, we need to get Eric on the podcast.
Well, honestly, why not?
Mr. Lindros.
I
He's
can't
my
imagine.
idol growing up.
I'm
I was a defenseman.
You don't have to tell me. I'm well aware.
I played defense, and I just wanted to be like Eric Lindros.
Yes, you did. Well, you were also, No, he was a big boy. And you were a big boy.
He was unreal.
It was good.
I mean, if you go back and watch it, listen, there's plenty of great hockey players. If you go back and watch their clips that you haven't seen in a while, you're like, wow. But just that 90s hockey where it was like everything was finish your checks. Everything was just...
Scott Stevens.
Oh,
I mean...
dude's unreal.
When we have Jim Dowd on the podcast, we're having Jim Dowd on the podcast soon. When we have Jim Dowd on the podcast, we have to ask him about Scott Stevens. I'm just so curious to hear his thoughts about him, like from behind the scenes.
Oh, well, I mean, that guy is a total animal. There was Chickless was talking about like iconic hockey photos, and it was like on that segment now, like RA's World.
Yeah.
And Witt brought up there's a picture of like after the Devils won one of their cups,
right.
And Goldberg, I guess maybe was in the locker room. I don't know if it was in the locker room or whatever, but there's a picture of Scott Stevens and Goldberg both without their shirts on at the cup.
I think I've seen that.
And apparently Scott Stevens is just as jacked as Goldberg. That's what Whitney said.
Dude, Goldberg's a pretty big boy.
No doubt.
We're talking about the wrestler.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, he was a pretty...
The point being that Scott Stevens was no
jacked.
slouch.
No, he was
slouch.
He was no slouch. I'm trying to think. I want to say Randy Velchek, who was on those Devils teams.
No, he wasn't.
He certainly was.
He was on the
Randy Velchek?
He was on the cup winning. He was still playing then?
No. I'm not saying he was on the cup winning teams, but he knows Stevens. He knows those guys because he was on the Devils for a while.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Randy was there for those.
I don't think he was.
I think you're right about that. But he told me a story about Scott Stevens, like right after they won the cup.
Yeah.
Like everybody was out like hanging out and like drinking and stuff like that, and he's in the parking lot running like wind sprints.
Come on.
That's what he told me.
No days off.
The guy's a fucking animal. Are you surprised? The guy's a freight train.
This guy's unreal. Like the level of obsession with some of these guys that are just like which you need to have to an extent to be at another level.
Yes, and he was at another level.
Yeah, he was. I mean, that guy was ferocious. I remember when the Devils acquired him.
Yeah.
That was like so unexpected.
Yeah, Montreal?
No.
No. Who did they acquire him from? Capitals?
Yeah, from the Capitals.
Capitals.
Yep.
Right.
Capitals.
Why'd they trade him?
You know, I forget the backstory, but I mean, that was a game changer. They had Martin Brodeur, Scott Stevens. I mean, they had so many great
Scotty
players.
Niedermeyer, and they brought in like that. Those teams.
There was Gomez. The first cup in '95.
Johnny
Claude
Mack.
Lemieux was on the team.
Claude Lemieux, yeah. Yeah. Was Driver? Oh, Danico. Danico was on those teams.
No doubt.
Yeah, no. I mean, those were some legit Devils teams.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get back there. Fingers crossed.
Oh, not looking great.
No, it does not. That's for sure.
But
It
anyway.
definitely doesn't look great.
All right, so we're back on the podcast.
Yeah, man. Episode 50.
Yeah, partners.
Yes. Howie's Hockey. Crazy 10.
Crazy.
Go get your tape, laces, gear. Help me out here. Sweatshirts, candles. Scott's favorite, the candles, the wax. I mean, they just have really cool stuff. The scissors, by the way, are like one of my favorite things. The yellow handle scissors. The yellow
sizzles
handle
Swizzles.
scissors.
Sizzle swizzles.
Yes, it's not easy. It's like a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. Sure.
The yellow handle scissors.
Sizzlers.
Are pretty legit. Not gonna lie. Like I feel like they need to be in like an EMT's like kit. They'll cut through like anything.
But they are good.
Right?
I mean, I've only tried it on tape. If I'm
I've tried
I can't say. I don't know if it'll pass like the.
I've tried on cloth. I've tried it. It's pretty good.
Like you know, remember those Ginsu commercials, the Ginsu knives, where they would cut a soda can.
Senkutsu elbow thrust. Necessary roughness. Sorry.
Oh, that was so good.
Meanwhile, how smoking was Kathy Ireland in that movie?
Oh, she was like a young teenage heartthrob, that Kathy Ireland.
So,
Lordy.
There's some great lines in that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Show me the arm, son. Throw the ball, genius. She makes a muscle.
Kathy Ireland.
Oh my God.
Lost from the past.
Smoke
anyway,
show. Yeah.
Smoke show.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So
derailed. I'm just.
So Howie's Hockey.
You know what's going on in my mind when I'm thinking of like the posters I had on my wall.
Oh,
like
I'm
Kathy.
sure. I can guarantee I had multiple Kathy Ireland posters.
As you're trying to talk about tape and wax.
I know.
Thinking
Trust
about
me.
posters.
Yeah. Listen, I get
Anyway.
it. I definitely get it. Yeah. So Howie's Hockey, Crazy 10. Go get your tape, laces, gear, candles, wax, whole 9 yards.
Swimsuit issue.
They have great stuff. The swimsuit issue. Go get your swimsuit issue from Howie's Hockey. Let me know what that looks like.
Can you imagine? It's like Howie it's like
Can you imagine this guy like in all different poses, like on the beach, and like riding a horse, and like I don't know, give me another one.
Howie's do it. You hear it here first.
right, exactly. Yeah, just give us credit. So we have a little bit of change to some of our partners. Yep. So we don't have the Pro Stride Elite anymore for Angelo and the power skating.
Still love them,
but don't use that anymore. Instead, we have Titan Battle Gear.
Let's go.
Which, if you guys are not familiar with Titan Battle Gear, you're going to hear the CEO on our podcast next week.
Yep.
Okay. Titan Battle Gear is a cut resistant base layer.
And apparel company.
Yes, and an apparel company. But they have sweatshirts and shorts and T-shirts and stuff like that. Yes, 100%. But their claim to fame is that they make cut-resistant base layers that are some of the highest quality fabrics and materials out there.
Yep, it's on the market.
Okay.
Yep.
So you guys are going to hear from Andres Devilliers, the CEO of Titan Battle Gear, next week. So we have a discount code for our listeners. If you use Crazy Dads 10 when you go to Titan Battle Gear, you'll get 10% off. We also have a link for our subscribers
we'll put it in the description.
that we're going to put in the description of all of our podcasts from now on. It is titanbattlegear.com/crazy hockey dads.
Let's go.
So that's for all of our listeners.
10% off.
They get you 10% off. If some of you are watching World Juniors, you will notice that some of the World Juniors players for the United States were wearing the Titan Battle Gear, their base layer, the blue base layer and the white base layer, under their jerseys and stuff like that. Listen, we all want to protect our children.
No doubt.
Right? The most important thing. We spend tons of money in this game. This is something that I think that all of us parents need to buy for our children.
Yeah.
And
why this one? Because the
highest
quality. And what does that really mean? That means a combination.
Safety.
It's a combination of coverage and protection.
Correct.
In terms of like the level of protection. We'll learn more about that in the next, not this week, next week's episode.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So Titan Battle Gear.
Yeah, Titan Battle Gear. Go check their website out. You will like what they have to offer. It is the highest protection base layer out on the market right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, very impressive stuff. So
And
you guys will hear more next week.
And it looks good to boot.
It does look good. They did a very nice job with their colors. They have some very cool stuff. They did very well during Christmas. They sold out of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They're just starting to get some stuff back. I know the black is back in. They have a USA Hockey, a special USA Hockey one with the USA Hockey logo on the chest.
Nice.
That's pre-order right now.
Yep.
So go check out Titan Battle Gear and use our code CrazyDads10. We're 10% off.
Sweet.
All right. And then we have another partner that we're teaming up with. We're teaming up with Coach Kevin from hockeytraining.com. Hockey Training HQ is his Instagram. So you're going to get you're going to start to hear Kevin. We haven't really officially announced it yet, but you guys are going to start to hear some stuff about hockeytraining.com and Hockey Training HQ coming shortly.
Let's go, Coach Kevin.
Because we love Coach Kevin.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as always, Athletic Performance Insight.
As always.
API. Any coaches, managers out there that are maybe looking to do some video review for your teams, have games broken down. I know the season is well underway, and we're probably on the back nine.
Almost over.
Definitely on the back nine.
Yeah, sure.
But, I know that there are coaches that are already starting to think about next season. So if you want to take a look at some options for video review and team analytics, go to athleticperformanceinsight.com. Eric, founder, owner, put together a fantastic platform that we're using over my son's team. And use the contact form to reach out, and he'll happily break down a game for you, no cost. I'm sure he'll be happy to get on a call with you, give you a tour of the platform. It's got super robust it's used from youth hockey up to the college ranks. It's really can be used to its fullest potential or modified just for what you might need for the youth players. So, Athletic Performance Insight API.
Yeah, Eric's great. $100 value.
$100 value.
Yep.
Mention Crazy Hockey Dads.
Mention Crazy Hockey Dads.
All right, partners.
So, how was your weekend?
Yo, my weekend?
Your weekend was good.
I
was
home alone.
I know you were.
Like all weekend.
Was that kind of cool, by the way?
I say this often. Well, I don't say it often, but whenever it does happen, I say that it's always better on paper.
Yeah.
And so Otto and Orly were down in DC,
right?
Virginia.
At a tournament, right?
Again, it's like the DC tournament that's never in DC.
It's like the Boston tournament that's never in Boston.
Oh, but they went to this place called the St. James, which is like a facility down there. For those of you that are in the New York, Connecticut area, it sounds like it's Chelsea Piers, but like brand new, and like they've got indoor pools and basketball courts as far as the eye can see, and like indoor soccer fields that turn into football fields that have hockey rinks. And
so they were hanging out there.
My wife was
in between games.
They were like, when you walk in this place, the only thing that comes to mind is just wow.
Really?
Yeah, it's down in Virginia somewhere. In any event, so they were down there.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
So I saw of the 4 games they played, I saw like 2.5, and then I watched some of his shifts from the last game.
Yeah.
They won the first one, lost the next 3. The last one sounds like one that they could have won.
Okay.
But overall, I got the impression that the kids played much better team game than they had been in the last couple weeks. But still,
nice.
Came up short on a few occasions.
Okay, it happens.
And,
but happens.
Hey, listen, I think it was a great destination though for all the tournaments I'd ever gone to. I've always been Northeast or like Pittsburgh or upstate New York or wherever, Ohio.
Right.
I haven't been down south. And it sounds like it was a really good
nice.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, Otto, I'll say this, for all the things that us parents can get on our kids for.
Sure.
One thing that I think we all need to remember is that like progress is not something that happens usually as fast as anyone wants it to happen.
Really?
No, you don't think so? Progress?
No, I'm with you.
No, yeah. So I'm just saying. So there was, in terms of his effort on the back check, and there was a lot of positive signs.
Right.
There were still plenty of things that's like, oof, I thought we were past that one, buddy, but we're not. And still learning, still growing. So it was a mixed bag, but I think there was more good to be seen than bad, and proud of him for making improvements in different areas, and it's unfortunate that they haven't necessarily strung together a lot of wins recently, and it doesn't feel great to lose. But I just tell them, listen, every time you're out there,
as long as he's developing.
Well, yeah, that's and there's a lot that goes into development, which we'll talk about very soon.
Yes, we will.
But
I know what you mean.
It's I don't know. I don't know what this season is. I haven't.
You haven't evaluated it yet?
No, I think this has been a tough season, and I think that that they I think that there's a lot of things that I wish Otto would. Oh, I don't know. I would say would have learned or had reinforced. I don't know. But nonetheless, I have nothing I can do about the past.
True. Very true. All right. Listen.
Anyway.
All right.
So my weekend, all in all, was great.
So that was your
home
weekend.
alone.
Got it.
How about you?
My weekend, so we went up to Boston, which was not Boston. It was like Rhode Island, Foxborough.
It's not even the same state.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and can I just tell you, I have to break our manager's chops right now.
Why?
So I get on him about picking hotels just because it's fun, right?
Yeah.
So he picks this Hampton Inn in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Okay. Never been to Pawtucket before. You?
Maybe drove through.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. So I prepay the we were there Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, leaving Monday.
Yep.
Because we could have had a game on Monday.
Yep.
Right. So we leave. I don't know what time we left. We left around 4 something. So we got there. We stopped. So we got there when it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
So we pull off the highway. And I was like, okay. Pull up to a traffic light, and there's a check cashing place to my right.
Yeah.
Nancy goes, Jamie? She goes, if you hadn't prepaid this thing, I'd be staying in downtown Providence right now.
Downtown.
At the Marriott. Yeah, downtown. Because you should always stay downtown.
Yes,
There's no reason to stay in the middle of nowhere.
That's your number one rule.
There's no reason. Why? There's nothing to do in the middle of nowhere. Zero.
It's true.
Zero.
There's more affordable hotels further afar.
Fair. However, this was not cheap because it was a stay and play.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Right? That's all. We'll get onto that stay and play shit another time. But I will say this. The hotel was clean. The staff was lovely. Like, the staff was lovely. Like, they really were. All of them were lovely. The staff was lovely. The hotel was clean. It was in a shithole area. But the staff was lovely. Hotel was extremely clean, and the Mexican restaurant that was attached to it,
Yeah.
Food was tremendous, by the way.
Oh, so that's good.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Like, nice bar, good drinks.
So what are you complaining about? That
Nothing.
it wasn't downtown.
I'm not really.
The check cashing place. What are you trying to?
Yeah.
Say
check cashing place.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a rougher neighborhood.
It was a little shaky.
A little rougher of a neighborhood. Is that what you're trying to say?
It was a little shaky. I
Yeah?
was curious if my vehicle was going to be there in the morning.
Listen, if you had a check that needed to be cashed, you were in the right spot, dude.
Listen, if I needed one cashed, it was extremely convenient right across
That's
the way.
what I'm saying.
Extremely convenient right across the way.
Extremely.
Very convenient. So I just break our manager's chops because, and I was breaking his chops because you have to break his chops because it's just fun. But no, it was clean. The staff was lovely. It was actually a nice hotel.
Oh, good.
Just in a little bit of a questionable area.
Okay, well, that happens.
Yeah. So we were there for a hockey tournament. It was fun.
Yeah.
Played some good teams. We were put in a kind of in like a AAA division.
Oh, good.
So that was fun. Played some solid teams. Canadian team that our parents, their parents and our kids kind of got in like a little bit of a brawl at the end of the game.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Did you know, by the way, that if a kid gets off the bench when there's a fight on the ice and the kid gets off of the bench, did you know that he could be suspended?
Sure.
You did?
Sure.
Even if the game's over?
Well, okay, so I'll say that even if the game's over, like the final whistle had blown. Like in youth hockey, they don't have referees telling you when you can exit the bench. Like they have that in like pros and maybe even college when they signal like you can go. They don't have that at youth hockey. So if the game's over and my kid jumped like on the ice, reasonable.
So the game ended.
Like the whistle blew. Done and dusted.
Game's over.
Okay.
Game ended,
Yeah.
and like 5 of the Canadian kids were like pounding, like one of our kid in the corner. I mean, like the kid was laying face down on the ice and was just getting like jacked up from a couple dudes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
why? What happened before that?
listen, we beat them, and they were probably mad. The Canadian team was losing to a U.S. team. They were not happy.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I heard they had some issues leading up to this game. Like they had 3 kids suspended. Like there was some stuff here.
All right, they're a rough group.
Yeah, something happened previously.
Okay.
Right. Matter of fact, the parents of, I'm assuming the game that they got into it, where they got 3 kids suspended, the parents of the opposite team were in our stands cheering for us and like screaming.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. Like, so something happened between those 2 teams.
Yeah, got it.
So the end of the game ends and our kid's getting lit up in the, there was 3 kids on the ice, the 3 forwards, right? One kid's literally face down, like just laying there and getting pounded. So Dominic skates over there.
Yep.
And starts to like push people.
Get involved.
Yeah, and starts to push people like off him, stuff like that. The coach, actually, the coach of the team, of the Canadian team, he actually went to the front desk and tried to get us disqualified.
Because Dom was on the ice? Did any of his anyone else from his team get on the ice?
Well, they all got on the ice because the game was over.
So why was Dom singled out?
Because Dom went over to the melee.
Oh.
And started pushing people off of his teammate who was face down on the ice.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But they tried to get us disqualified.
And how'd that go?
It didn't work.
Wow. Good.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. Why was it? What are the refs doing this whole time? Were they not there trying to pull kids off?
So the refs were there, and it's funny. You actually see on Live Barn, you see the refs are both like here, like against the glass, or they're trying to. The glass is in front of them, and right behind is one of our kids, and the kid saw that both refs were looking that way, and he cross checks the shit out of our kid from behind, like.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yeah, dude. Such a cheap shot.
So the refs were... So, I'm sorry. I just didn't really...
The refs were dealing with other stuff here.
Oh.
Like Dominic and 3 other kids.
Right,
and the kid laying face down. And another kid was behind the refs. One of
realizing
our kids. And he got cross-checked right in the back.
What a
like back, like high up on the shoulders.
That parent group must be fucking stellar.
Dude, that it was in Mississauga. They're from Mississauga.
I remember I played against the Mississauga team in Lake Placid years ago. The Mississauga Rebels.
Listen, this was the Mississauga Rattlers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not saying that I'm sure there's lovely people in Mississauga.
Yeah, but not this group.
Listen, I was talking to one of the dads, kind of like before our last game and their last game.
And you're like, dude, what the fuck?
Well, you know what happened? Like I was standing like in the lobby just on my phone.
Yeah.
And he was going into the other rink, and he says to one of his other buddies, he's like, dude, he's like, that Vermont team is playing that Saints team. They're going to lose by 20 goals. I look at him, I go, I sure hope not. He's talking about our team. He's like, they're going to lose by 20 goals.
Same way that your team was going to lose by 20?
He obviously didn't know that I was a parent
right.
of a kid on that team. He's like, that Saints team is going to lose by like 20 goals.
And what'd you say to him?
I go, I hope not. And then he was a little embarrassed that I, caught him saying that.
Yeah.
So he went into the rink. And then he came out and he started talking to me. He was actually a stand-up dude.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And what did he have to say for him and his lot?
I mean, listen, they were frustrated because they got into it in their team and their 3 kids got suspended, yada, yada, yada.
So why not just get more kids suspended? Like, what the fuck?
Listen, they were a rough bunch. Not all of them, but a bunch of them,
Yeah.
Some of the parents one of our parents said something they should not have said either. Like, parents...
Just keep your mouth shut.
I'm just going to throw this out there. If a child says something, like you cannot say something to a child. Like you can't. I don't care what that kid does. I don't care if he flips you the bird. I don't care if he tells you to fuck yourself. You cannot say something to a child. You just can't. An adult cannot say something. You just can't. Like you got to shut your mouth. You just can't. Like stop it. Like come on. Like,
so a parent on your team said something to one of their kids?
I'm not
sure. Was it the parent of the kid who was face down getting pummeled?
It was.
There, okay.
100% was.
Yep, that's obvious.
100% was, yes. But like, you can't say anything to a kid. I don't care what they say to you. I don't care what. You cannot. An adult cannot say something to a 13-year-old child.
And what did they say?
I can't repeat it.
Oh, fair. Because
listen, it got a little, but you can't say anything. It was on both sides. You can't do that.
Yikes. So it sounds like it was eventful.
It was eventful.
Yeah.
It was eventful. So, yes, that was the only team we wound up beating. We did not lose by 20 goals in the finals.
You only beat them on the scoreboard, apparently.
We beat the Canadian team 2-1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
We beat them.
Sounds like they beat you off the scoreboard, though.
We lost our four. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. We lost our last game to the Vermont team. The one that the guy
by
said
20 goals?
No, we lost 3-0.
Okay.
And the last one was an empty netter.
Okay. All right.
So it was a good.
Respectable,
It was good. Yeah. They were a good hockey team.
Okay.
We hit the post late in the game.
The Catamounts?
The Catamounts, correct.
Catamounts.
Yeah. It was a good. It was a good game.
Doesn't
It was a good game.
Doesn't Matt Miles coach one of those teams?
Oh, I don't know. Does he from exposure?
Maybe.
Oh, I didn't know that. Nice.
He's Vermont, right?
He is. I thought he was.
I think he might. I could be mistaken.
Oh, isn't that funny? If he was like behind the bench and I didn't even know it.
Could have been.
No,
you said it was a AAA tournament,
he
right?
definitely. It was.
Well, could be.
Yeah, so we got moved up into a AAA bracket, and the teams were good. We went 1-3.
All right, that's great, man.
Yeah. No, listen, the hockey was good, so no complaints.
Awesome.
So that was cool.
And
yeah, I have a funny story for the weekend. Let me know when you want to hear it. An hour later.
It's up to you. You want to keep going?
You tell me. You want me to tell you after I interview?
Keep going.
You want me? Okay.
Yeah, round it up.
All right. So there's a back door to our hotel. So you could park in the front or you could park in the very back.
Yep.
Okay. And the back door, we were on the 5th floor. The back door was close to the larger elevator.
Okay.
Okay. So the guy, when we walked in, and my buddy Rich, who worked at the Hampton in Pawtucket, shout out Rich. Rich is a great dude, by the way.
Let's go, Rich.
Yeah, Rich is a good dude. So Rich, when we first checked in, Rich is like, "Listen, you're never gonna get the luggage cart up the regular elevators. Go around the back. The elevator's bigger." He's like, "My sister-in-law wouldn't fit in our regular size elevators." I was like, "Okay, Rich." I was like, okay. So we started using the rear elevators.
Okay.
So he said, "You park in the rear. You come through the door, the back door, and you use those elevators." So as you walk in the back door, okay, you walk into a hallway. And there's a room directly in front of you.
Okay.
So you go through the glass door, and it's one of the ones where you put your key card in, opens the door, and you're literally staring at room 164. Whatever the number. My point is that
there's a room right there, 12 o'clock.
Right in front of you.
Right.
Okay? So Dominic and I left the game on Saturday. We went to the Providence versus Boston College game at Providence.
Awesome.
My wife took Luca, my older one, back to the hotel.
Okay.
Okay. So she comes in the back door. Okay. And apparently the smoke alarm was going off in the room directly across the hall.
Okay.
Okay. And because the door was open. Okay.
Okay.
And the person was, I would say frantic was how she described it. A little frantic.
Okay.
Because what happened is they were steaming their pants. Okay. So obviously, the shower was on, right? So they were steaming their pants.
Yeah.
And they were, because you have to have wrinkle-free pants. So they're steaming their pants, and the person has the door open, and he's fanning the smoke detector in his room because it's going off. Why
is it going off?
Because the steam rose and is now setting the alarm off.
Why would steam set off a smoke alarm?
I don't know, Scott. I'm just telling you what the story was.
Fucking steam alarm.
I don't know. I don't know I don't know the answer to that. The funny part about it was this gentleman who my wife and older son walked into because they're coming in the door. So he's directly ahead of them, 8 feet, right? He's standing in the door with the door open in his underwear and a t-shirt fanning the thing.
Listen,
One of our coaches. So Nancy's so he sees Nancy.
Yeah.
And panics, right? Dives behind the door The door shuts and she's like, "You all right?"
You okay? Dude, why wouldn't he just turn off the shower?
I'm just telling you the situation. And then what makes it even funnier is that so we come home from the game and I go back, a bunch of parents were in the lobby having drinks. So I go down there and this coach never speaks to me. I mean, like never ever speaks to me. Okay. Yeah. So he came up to me and he's like, and he starts asking me, he's like, "Did you guys go to the Providence BC game?" I'm like, "Yeah, we did."
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, he has not said 5 words to me in 2 fucking years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's like talking to me. And I thought it was odd at first. I'm like, why is he like
where is this coming from?
Like all of a sudden you're striking up a conversation with me? I've only known you for 2 seasons.
Right.
Or like a season and 7/8.
Right. So why now?
Like all of a sudden, like you want to have standing with me in the lobby, chatting me up. I was like, oh, okay. And he's a great dude. Don't get me wrong. Okay. So I don't get it. So then he goes upstairs, right? And then the other coach comes up to me. He's like, he tells me what happened. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, that's why he's fucking sitting there chatting me up.
Why would that motivate him to talk to you?
Clearly he's uncomfortable that my wife saw him in his underwear, which is, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
but he was clearly very uncomfortable.
It's so weird.
I mean, listen. So I'm blowing him up on the podcast because it's funny as fuck.
That is funny.
So listen, he's a great dude. So I'm giving you a shout out, Coach. It was very funny. My wife was still fucking dying about it. She told all of her coworkers today at work when she went back to work.
I still wanted the steam alarm thing.
Dude, fanning the smoke detector in his underwear, and Nancy just happened to walk in, and then he obviously saw her and panicked. He's like, "Oh shit!" and slammed the door.
Oh.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. If your alarm goes off,
turn off the shower.
Or be more aware of your surroundings when you're fanning the smoke alarm.
Either that or just
the door open.
Don't just be like,
how
just chill.
Funny is that, dude? One of our coaches.
That is funny.
Dude, dying. Nice. Absolutely dying. So yeah, so that was funny. It was a fun weekend though.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, listen, let's why don't we dive into the interview? So today we have, for the second time, Bob Mancini from USA Hockey.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, unreal conversation. James, why don't you share what the meat and potatoes is about?
So we wanted to have him on because of the new USA Hockey Developmental League that is coming shortly. Okay, for those of you who don't know, there is a developmental league coming from USA Hockey, which is going to be kind of on top of the pyramid as far as, tier 1, tier 2. It's going to be another, Bob calls it another level, right? Of elite hockey.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to pick 32 teams, and Bob will explain on the interview. You guys will hear it. They're going to pick 32 teams from across the country. And these 32 teams will play against each other, and we'll play like prep schools, Bob mentioned, and other high schools, and other tier 1, other tier 1 teams. But it is different than your AAA hockey. It is above
AAA hockey.
It's above AAA hockey.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a lot of misconceptions out there, a lot of false information flying around. So we wanted to have Bob on to explain this to our listeners, so you guys know exactly what's going on out there. Okay, because this new developmental league that's coming down from USA Hockey is, I see why they're doing it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's going to add another pathway. It's going to add another level, to youth hockey. And really, USA Hockey was worried about it watering. They were worried about the watering down of AAA, AA, and single A hockey. This should help that a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
And the biggest takeaway that I took from this was, that it's meant to work with the other leagues, and and he used the expression that all ships rise with the tide, right? And that
rising tide lifts all boats. Yeah,
a version of that expression.
I know.
And that it's that the introduction of this should also, especially in the tier 1 side of things, also, raise those ships as well. And there's a lot of takeaways or a lot of things they're implementing that they're hoping will spread throughout more of tier 1. And, I think, I won't share more. I'll let Bob do the talking. But it was great to bring him on here to go over the developmental league that's upcoming. And really, really glad that he had the time and willingness to chat with us about it.
Yeah, it was great. We were going to release Andres de Villiers from Titan Battle Gear today, but this kind of fell into our lap, and it's pretty pertinent information right now with what's going on. So we wanted you guys to kind of hear this and hopefully hear it first.
Yeah, and if anyone hasn't
clarify.
Yeah, if anyone hasn't listened to our previous pod with Bob Mancini, he is the assistant executive director of hockey development at USA Hockey, oversees youth hockey, coaching education, officiating education, and player safety nationwide.
It's fantastic.
So he is a very big part of USA Hockey, a big part of the American development model, the ADM. He's got a son, Victor, who's
with the Vancouver Canucks right now,
who's bouncing between the NHL and AHL right now. So not only as a profession, he's been a dad, been there, done that, raising an elite hockey player. So
worked for the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, he's been there, done that.
Yeah. So he's
episode 40 was our other one. If you guys want to go back and listen to
every 10 episodes,
exactly.
He'll be back for 60.
Yeah, exactly right. Listen, that may be a thing.
Yeah,
but anyway. He's great.
All right, so let's kick it over to Bob Mancini of USA Hockey.
All right,
everybody. Welcome back to the Crazy Hockey Dads podcast. And I am super happy to bring back one of the best interviews that we've had so far, Bob Mancini. And for those of you that don't know him, he's the assistant executive director of hockey development at USA Hockey. He oversees youth hockey, coaching education, officiating education, player safety, among other things. He's been there as a player, coach, parent, all of it, and so thrilled to have you back, Bob. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me back. This is great.
I think by popular demand.
Yes.
We've gotten so many great responses just from the interview itself and clips we put up online, and it's clear that people highly value your opinion. And we've got a bunch to talk about today, so we're looking forward to diving into some things that I think a lot of families have questions about.
Yeah, no, great. Fire away.
All right. So for everybody out there that does not know what's going on, and I know there's a ton of them, can we talk about the new development league and why you guys put it into place, what you think it's going to do, and just clear up some, like you said before, misconceptions, because I think there's a ton of them, Bob.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. And, whenever there's a new program, right, the rumors run rampant. And, when you're dealing with youth hockey, the rumor mill typically takes on a life of its own, no matter what you're talking about. So when you're talking about something possibly as game changing as we believe this could be in a very good way, there's going to be misperceptions about what we're trying to do. So on Sunday, USA Hockey Congress voted in legislation to form the USA Hockey Development League. It'll start in 27-28, so, a full year and a half away. But the first thing is the term development league or league. It's not a league in your typical sense of a league, right? You think more like League of Nations, or maybe we were talking and you guys said, what was it? The superheroes. What's that called? The League of something.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Yes, right.
Yeah. Which I don't follow, so I don't know. But think those of you who are history majors, right? What it is it's going to be up to 32 organizations when we first announced this that want to join and get chosen, that have development at the forefront of what they do. And it is for, arguably who will be the best hockey players at that age from most of the United States to find that path. Because as you know, the path in hockey, as a lot of youth sports, is very convoluted, right? Do you go here? Do you go there? Or what about this team versus that team? And all those are very, very important decisions. So one of the reasons to do this development league was to further refine and reorganize the path of development for players. And by creating this division, and the age groups, by the way, are a little different. They're 15U and 17U, unlike the 14U, 16U, 18U we have in Tier 1, Tier 2, and the large majority of USA Hockey. And there's a very good reason for that. So we're going to create this division at those age groups. And for most of the United States, where Tier 1 hockey is typically celebrated, and that's the direction for the best players, those players will get funneled into this league. However, it's very important that other pathways to the top don't get closed off. We know that Minnesota high school produces great players. We're not at all saying that players should leave Minnesota high school to go find teams in the development league. That is a great pathway for players. Prep school, that is a great pathway for players out east, right? Prep school. So it actually behooves and benefits USA Hockey to have multiple pathways that players can journey through to get to where they want to go. But as I said, for a large part of the United States, where Tier 1 is the pathway, Tier 1 has gotten a little bit too watered down, and it's lost the development focus that it needed to have. And that's why we wanted to put something there. So the 15 and 17 was really important, because if you really study player development, it's important to have multiple exit and entry points in the development pathway, because not everyone will develop at the same speed. So player A might be ready for the DL, right, this year as an underage, let's say, as a 16-year-old, right, playing in the 17U league. But another player might be developing in Tier 1 and not ready for that until he's 17. And the same thing with the 15U. So one of the biggest keys, because people said, oh, you're replacing Tier 1, and oh my God, this is, one of the biggest keys of this is that we've created a pathway for teams and organizations to work together to put development first. So we need to partner with our Tier 1 programs that have 13 only Tier 1 and 14U Tier 1 and 15 only and 16U, because those players will have to develop both inside the DL and outside the DL. And just like our national camps, where we see high percentage of players going to and from national camps on a yearly basis, we plan on seeing that too. And that's a very difficult thing for the populace to understand, right? Everybody thinks, oh, we got to get to where we want to be as quick as possible, and then we got to stay there. And that's not necessarily true. And the same relationship now we want to happen with Tier 2, right? Tier 2 should be an important development phase and pathway for Tier 1. Tier 2 should develop players for high school. Tier 2 should develop players for prep school. And Tier 2 should develop players for the DL, right? So what we tried to do, as I said, was reorganize and reimagine the development pathway for all players. We truly believe that not only are we going to do this right, and when I say we, I don't just mean USA Hockey National Office. I mean all our partners and all our affiliates do it right, where we will not only be producing more high-end players, but better high-end players. And those players will come out of all of those areas that I mentioned, and I don't know what the next question is, but you know me, right? You're going to get in 2 questions and then the hour is going to fly by.
No, it's great information.
But, I talk a little bit about trying to get someplace too soon, right? And I think on the last podcast, we talked a little bit, maybe we didn't, about, nobody gets better chasing around the player with the puck.
Right.
We did talk
we talked
about
it
that.
for sure.
We did talk about that, right?
Yep.
And this is going to give those pathways for everybody. We're going to be able to put kids in what is one of the biggest tenets of the ADM, and that's players should be playing with players of similar ability, right? Because that's how you improve. So that player who may not make tier 1 needs to go back and dominate tier 2. And that player who don't makes DL needs to go back and dominate tier 1. And our tier 1, our DL, our tier 2, our high school, and our prep school, all of those entities need to work together to do what's best for the player.
Yeah. So this is just so interesting, and I can't imagine the number of parents that are already starting to like go bonkers about how they're going to start, angling to get into those organizations. But in terms of, I got two questions, and I'll start with this one. One is in terms of like the development and what a player could expect from the development league versus tier 1 versus tier 2. Is there going to be a like USA Hockey? I don't know if like mandate's the right word, but in a similar way that there's the ADM, is there going to be a philosophical approach to this that is going to be like mandated across all organizations? Or might we see something similar to where in certain parts of the country, I think you had mentioned in the last podcast that there's some parts of the country that are really, follow the ADM and they're all in, and there are others that are less so. So just kind of curious about what the DL is going to bring to the players that they might not find currently at tier 1. And if that's going to be like more of a mandated philosophy across all organizations participating.
Well, a great question. I'm really glad you brought it up. We got to the DL because President Trimboli of USA Hockey, he put together a tier 1 task force, a commission on tier 1. And our original thought and direction was, how can we change the direction of tier 1 and how can we change the way tier 1 looks? It wasn't to set out and do this new league. But the way our structure works is our tier 1 teams are governed by our affiliates. And each affiliate is allowed, and we rely on them to make the best decisions they can possibly for hockey in their area. But as you can imagine, those decisions in one district are really good for Pacific, let's say, and Atlantic could be making really good decisions for their district, but those decisions could be very different.
Right.
But we needed to come up with some common ground of development for everybody. And when we all realized, and the commission realized, we weren't going to be able to just change tier 1 blanket across the board, because again, we don't govern like that. We said, okay, we have to look at another way to do it. So that was how we pivoted from perhaps changing the face of tier 1 on a whole to this, right? Making tier 1 more consistent across the US. And then we pivoted and said, well, wait a second, if we can't do it for every tier 1 team, how can we do it? And that leads me to your question about development. The DL will have a very, very strict, very strict standards of development that every team will have to abide by. Now, again, why didn't we do that for all tier 1? Because we couldn't get buy-in from all the tier 1, right? We couldn't get buy-in from all the affiliates. But now we've created this entity where if a team wants to be a part of it, they have to follow these development rules, these regulations, so to speak. And there's an interesting thing on how this is going to make tier 1 better as well. So let me give you an example. Years ago, we tried to get tier 1 to change to 1 game a day, 20-minute periods, right? At the older age levels, 15, 16, and 17. Because we did a study, very scientific study, about the workload output of players and how that reduces over a 5-game weekend. Right. And what the injury rate can go, right? And you talk to any college coach, any scout coach, go watch the 5th game on a 5-day weekend. of a 15, 16, or 18 team, it's terrible.
Right.
It's completely different than game one.
They're all exhausted.
And that's only accounting for their club hockey. That's not including the high school hockey that some of these kids layer on top of it.
It's true.
And in some affiliates, they play other hockey as well, right?
Right.
So the rate of injury, chance of injury goes up. The workload output goes down. So we're actually training our kids to play at a lower level, a slower level, right? And kids are smart. So now some kids are saying, well, I got 5 games, so I'm not going to play that hard this game.
Right. They manage the workload.
Which is exactly the opposite of what you want for high performance training.
That's right.
Another example was we wanted to limit the number of games a year in Tier 1, but we couldn't get buy-in. So those are 2 minor things that this league will put into place. And if you want to be a part of this league, you have to follow those guidelines, right? And if you don't, you can't be part of the DL. But the interesting thing, and I believe this because I saw it with the National Team Development Program and the USHL, a rising tide raises all boats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what I believe will happen, because everybody does want to do what's good for the kids, sometimes it just takes nudges, right? Well, the Development League is going to set a standard on all of this. And then what we're going to see is other entities saying, oh, well, we need to do that too, right? So instead of having to mandate, instead of having to force, instead of having to coerce, I truly believe what's going to happen is you'll see more and more Tier 1 teams, for example, say, oh, well, we should only be playing 1 game a day too. And maybe instead of parents, because the parents sometimes are the people who are pushing this game envelope, so to speak.
Yes, they are. That's true.
So I recruit you and my team, we're going to play 60 games. And then you tell me, well, yeah, I'm not going to play for you because so-and-so is going to play 65. And then someone else comes along. If you play for me, we'll play 70 games.
Yeah.
Right. And the parents are actually perpetuating some of this. Tier 1 operators are telling us they don't want to play as many games, which is a good thing. Right. So by putting in those limits and these kind of rules, we think it's going to affect everybody who is in that space, which is going to be a really good thing. And then some other things, about mandatory or strength training and a mental health training and monthly webinars with goalie coaches and goaltenders and goalie parents, like all these different things that we can now, and I hate the word mandate, but we can regulate on the DL, we think will now start to creep into other levels as well. And I saw this with the NTDP, right? When the NTDP first came on board, 96 was when we got hired to start it. 97 was the first year with players, right? We said, okay, we had had a head coach, 2 assistant coaches. We had a strength training coach. We had a trainer, right? And we were playing in the USHL and the North American League at the time. And then all of a sudden, those leagues started saying, all right, well, we have to have a full-time assistant coach. That's how far back it was. Junior hockey teams didn't have full-time assistant coaches. They were stipend, they were part-time, right? Then all of a sudden the league said, well, if the development team is doing it, we're going to do it. And if the development team has strength training, we got to institute strength training. So all of a sudden, everything around them started getting better and more standards were in. So I'm really looking forward to not only some of the things we're putting in place for the development league, but very much so is how can my office and the player development managers help all the clubs who want to be in this space.
So I'm curious, Bob, you mentioned the guidelines, right? They have to follow strict guidelines. Can you talk about what those guidelines are for the different affiliates that are going to be involved in this?
Well, first of all, the affiliates are only involved in it because there are teams from their affiliates in the DL.
Right. Understood. Yep.
Right. So we're talking about organizations.
Yep. Understood.
Right? But just some of them I just said, right? So 1 game a day.
Okay. I figured that was one of them.
20-minute periods.
Yep.
Right. A maximum of 55 games.
That was my next question.
Playoffs.
What's the number of games? Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Mandatory. Every organization has to have a goalie coach.
Okay, like
Right?
this other stuff, like mental training coach. Okay.
Coaches have to attend monthly webinars, right?
With USA Hockey.
Not necessarily with USA Hockey personnel.
Oh, okay.
We will do them. We will facilitate them.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, we're going to lean on our NHL partners, our, maybe the skills coach who I know very well, right, from this team or the goalie coach from this team, right? Some international coaches, development coaches, right, who then will put on webinars for these coaches to join.
Oh, okay.
And why that's so important is while they'll be mandated for DL clubs, right? Because we're USA Hockey, they're open to other tier 1 coaches. They're open to coaches who want to be part of becoming better coaches for their tier 1 clubs or whatever, right? And I want to go back to, so tier 1 and the development league must work together because, again, the rising tide analogy is just fantastic, right?
Right.
But also there's an important part of this for our players, because players should play with players of similar ability, but players need to be overripe before they go to the next level, right? Whether that's an age group level or that's a talent level, you want to be overripe, right?
What does that look like, Bob? What does overripe look like? I'm curious.
Well, yeah, that's a great question. So, for example, you get parents all the time, my kid has to play up. Okay.
Right.
If he plays up, is he one of the top 3 forwards on the age group above? Is he one of the top 2 defensemen?
Right.
Because if he's not,
then
he probably shouldn't play up.
Right. Understood.
Right?
Yep.
You hear so many NHL coaches, right? You get drafted, you're a goal scorer. You better score goals. So if you don't score goals at the junior level and then maybe at the American League level, and then you get to the NHL and you're there for 2 weeks and you don't score any goals, guess what? You've just become a checker.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because so we have to get into this idea, instead of pushing our players forward too fast, is putting our players in an environment where they can excel.
So again, I'm curious. Can you give for instance, a kid who's in tier 2 that's scoring 75 goals when the next closest person to him is in the 40s? Is that kid overripe, or is the kid who scores 1 point a game in tier 2, is that kid overripe, or is it just what? Again, I'm just curious for other parents that are listening.
So that's a great question, but that's the problem, right? Because not every tier 2 team is equal. Not every tier 2 team league is equal.
Agreed.
Not every tier 1 team is equal. Not every tier 1 league is equal.
Absolutely.
So a player might be scoring a lot of goals for his tier 2 team, but then he goes to tier 1 tryouts and he's clearly not ready.
That's right.
Right.
Yes.
So it really is individual to that player and to that club. But as a parent, if you can step back and really evaluate and say, oh, little Johnny has the puck all the time here, right? And then he played up an age group and all he did was chase around the other players. You got to take a step back and say, is that making him any better?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, we see too many players that are pushed through the development system too quickly and they never become the player they should become, right? The defenseman who has to play tier 1 hockey at too young of an age, and to win, that tier 1 coach is telling him, get it off the glass and out.
Right.
So this kid who is really, really good now, all he learns for the next 4 years is not to handle the puck and not to make decisions. Right.
Yeah.
One of the things we're doing with the development league that we've talked about is all the teams make the playoffs. Right. Because what happens when you're in a league when all the teams make the playoffs? You can afford to develop players.
That's right.
Right.
You don't have to win.
Right.
There's no win. The win first mentality is not there.
winning is important and it has to be part of development. Like let's face it, there's no development without winning and there's no winning without development.
Agreed.
Right? So if we can get those things to go hand in hand, now we've really created a structure that's great for kids.
Now, let me ask this: as far as development, a key piece of that is the coaching staff. So, in terms of the credentials, prerequisites, is there anything that's going to be laid out for the hiring of these coaches? Will USA Hockey have a hand in that? Like, is there anything in particular that organizations will have to consider when hiring coaches for these teams?
They have to be of a mind that is open to lifelong education. Right? We're not going to involve ourselves in who are the coaches and what you pick. The clubs that get chosen are going to be our partners, and we have to trust that they're going to pick good coaches. However, what we can regulate is their education, right? And what we're hoping for and what we will push constantly are coaches who are lifelong they believe in lifelong education. Right? They want to get better. They want to improve. And in anything you do, if you have those people, they'll become better if their mind is open to new ways of looking at things and new things. And I am very, very confident in our coaching education program at USA Hockey. It's been completely overhauled in the last 5 years. 5 years, I guess it is. It is a tremendous, tremendous program that teaches coaches how to coach way more than they teach what to coach. Right. And we are planning on further developing that mindset of what should we be doing for our best players.
Now, speaking of the best players, and just kind of segueing away from the organization, the coaching side of things, but now like maybe that tactical stuff for families that are learning about this now. So there's going to be a select number of development league teams within any given state, if I'm not mistaken.
Region.
Okay, so region. So could a player, let's say that lives in New York, could they play for a development league team that's like, say, in Michigan, for example? Are there any like borders around some of these teams, and do they have to stay within a certain geography?
No, actually, the development league will have no residency requirements, unlike Tier 1 and Tier 2. However, the reason we have up to 32 teams and the reason we're looking at, 736 players, I think it is. The math, I was a liberal arts major, so I'll have to go to the
a max of 22, right? I saw 20 skaters, 2 goalies, max.
Correct.
Is that right?
Max, right?
Got it.
So we worked with a gentleman named Joe Baker out of the University of Toronto, and Joe is one of the world's leading experts on talent identification and development. And he is the chair of the Analytic and Sports Science Department at the University of Toronto. I think I got that right. He has a very long title, but he's a brilliant man. And we have been working close with him because, part of development is getting the right numbers of players. So we have to take in consideration players are going to stay in Minnesota high school and players might stay in prep school. And then we have all these Tier 1 teams, and where are the players in the region? Right? How many players are in each region, in each state, as you said, in each district? And then figure out, okay, how many teams need to be in each of these areas in order for us to have the right number of players. So while there is no residency, right, we think we have the right number of players. So we shouldn't see a mass exodus of players. I don't believe the top and the bottom is going to be so great that a kid who isn't even close to making a development team in New Jersey, his parents are going to, fly him across country.
Right. To make one in California or something.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, or Michigan or something.
That's never been the goal of this. And if we are strict with our numbers and strict with the teams and we have our age groups right and we are partners with Tier 1, I very much believe that is not going to be of a major concern. Now, will nutty Bob Mancini's doppelganger somewhere take his kid to 9 different tryouts?
Sure.
But here's the thing that nobody wants to talk about. That's happening now.
That's
happening now. Crazy parent A with the DL or without the DL is still going to be crazy parent A.
That's for sure.
Right? So we're very much going to let our partner teams, organizations, we're not getting involved in the selection process. We have to trust the teams and the partners that get chosen, that they know the landscape and they will do the right things.
Yeah. So sorry, James, just one last.
Good. You might ask the question I was going to ask. So go ahead.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just excited.
Anyway, it's crazy. So much information.
So the teams and the regions, can you give a little context on how what scheduling might look like? And are all teams going to eventually see all other teams in the league? What travel commitments, that type of stuff. What is that going to look like for families on the East Coast? Will they see West Coast and vice versa?
So we did a lot of research. USA Soccer put together a development league years ago. And when you talk to the people at USA Soccer, it was one of the best things they had ever done until they mandated scheduling. And once they mandated scheduling, and their development league team in Tampa had to go to Kansas City, right, once a year, and right, costs went through the roof. Travel became the focus instead of development, right? So we are not. The scheduling will be done by each team. There'll be some guidelines or limits around scheduling. So, for example, they will have to play 60% of their games against other DL teams, but they're going to be able to schedule Tier 1 teams. Prep teams are going to be able to, right? Because this is important. That is really important, right? So, for example, a DL team in a heavily populated area that has a lot of good players and may have a few more DL teams than, let's say, a lesser populated area. And when I say populated, I mean with hockey players, right? Registered hockey players, right? They may not have as much travel, right, as, let's say, if a team were to get picked in California.
I was just going to say California.
Those teams out there are already traveling a lot.
It's true.
Their travel, we don't want their travel to be any greater than it is.
Than what they're doing now.
Right.
Than what they're doing now. So by allowing them some freedom into their scheduling, we think this is going to be a really the right way to go about this. So it is possible that not every team will play everybody else. Not possible. It's probable that those things won't happen. Right. And we're going to have a couple showcases a year where, all the teams in the East, let's say, all get together, teams in the West all get together. And, you might have some teams that want a trip for their kids and their families. So there's a lot of that may go into it, but it's not going to be strict scheduling. And that's why I said earlier, league like League of Nations, not league like the National Hockey League.
Right. So, correct me if I'm wrong. So they have to play 60% of their games against other DL teams, but they can go outside, play Tier 1, play prep. So you could see one of these teams playing like an Avon Old Farms or like a South Kent or something like that, right? Like
as long as they're USA Hockey registered.
Right.
They have to be USA Hockey registered. So some of those prep schools have before and after teams that are really good teams. They would be able to play the DL teams, and if they want to schedule, right? But these are USA Hockey registered teams.
That feels like, and tell me if I'm wrong, that feels like when the USA National Development Team goes and plays like BU, or they go play, Minnesota or Penn State. Am I right about that?
Yeah,
is that
very
kind
much
of the
so.
idea?
Very much so. And that inter scheduling is so important. I had a question come up this past weekend. Well, why would a tier 1 team want to play a DL team? Or why would a DL team want to play a tier 1 team? Right? What if they lose to a tier 1 team? Right? And that's the mindset we got to get out of. If a 17U team plays an 18U tier 1 team and lose, that's good for both teams.
Sure.
Right? It's just when the NTDP is a really good team and the 18s go in and beat North Dakota but lose to BU, it's a 3-2 game either way. Guess what? Everybody benefits. What doesn't benefit is when you're winning 11-1 or losing 11-1, right? I wish I could mandate every single hockey game has to be a 1-goal hockey game going into Gary Bettman has figured out how to do it in the NHL. Haven't figured out how to do it in youth hockey yet, right? But that's where real development happens. Could you imagine if youth hockey is structured in such a way, and now with the development league and this reorganization of the pathway, if all of a sudden more games are 3-2, 5-4,
right? Great.
6-4 with an empty net, the development that's going to go on for every player will be huge.
Like you said, it's that rising tide that lifts all boats.
Yeah. And I do, before you ask another question, I do want to mention something because I wrote this down, and I know you keep talking about parents want to know. We will not be taking official applications for DL teams until May 1st.
That was my next question.
And that application process, teams have already filled out, some teams that are interested, it was open, already filled out requests for information previously. And on May 1st, the official application will go out, and teams that have filled out the RFI previously will just have to fill out a 1-page application and declaration that they're applying for the DL. There might be some teams that didn't apply or didn't fill out that form, then they would be able to fill out that form and apply between May 1st and June 30th. Then after June 30th, the DL Oversight Committee, which is made up of 9 volunteers from all the different, not all, but from different sections and councils at USA Hockey, then they will start diving into the merits of all these different organizations that apply. And then they will make decisions and announce teams October 16th. Geez, Bob, why October 16th? Because October 16th is the day after Tier 1 rosters have to be submitted. Because I know one of you two crazy hockey dads is waiting for the announcement, and they're going to try to move your kid from one team to another. And that's not at all what we want, right? We want development to happen in your own club.
Of course. Okay, so you have not picked the local teams from the regions yet. Okay.
No teams have been chosen.
Understood.
In fact, no teams have even been vetted. Nothing. We have collected requests for information. And there are people out there. I have a couple of, so-and-so says they're getting a team, or I heard. If that's happening, I will tell you right now, they are lying to you.
Okay.
No team has been vetted or promised anything.
Got it. Okay. What are some of the criteria that the council is going to choose from so obviously you guys have relationships with some of these organizations already, long-standing organizations. So what are some of the criteria? You mentioned a couple of them.
So hang on. Define long-standing relationships, because that sounds like a Jersey guy who just got off the set of The Sopranos.
Okay. That's true.
So fair. I know fair. All the clubs in the U.S., and I'm not on the selection committee and the DL Oversight Committee. When the DL working group put together the RFI, they included all kinds of things that they will look at when they open up those RFIs and start to make those decisions on how they're going to ascertain which clubs should be seriously considered. But that is the Oversight Committee. It is made up, just like all of our other committees and councils and sections U.S., of very, very hardworking volunteers that want to do the right things for kids. And the actual metrics of how these teams are picked we have information from clubs, we've asked questions, but those metrics have not been defined yet.
And I guess what I meant by that was longstanding relationships. On our last podcast, when you came on with us, we were talking about some of the affiliates have been following the ADM and some haven't been in our area in the Northeast. So would it be fair to say that it's not necessarily the biggest and most successful clubs in an area, that it could be, clubs that have been following the ADM since you guys kind of came up with that program and instituted it?
There is no way I am going to make a comment on what you just said.
Okay, I didn't think so. I figured I'd try.
If you'd like to rephrase it 4 more times, I will find 4 more different ways to say no comment.
Understood. Totally understood.
So
I tried. You did, and more power to you.
I wasn't expecting you to answer it.
I wanted to circle back just about on the age groups that you had mentioned early on, and if you could just maybe like dive just a touch deeper into like the 15 and 17-year-old age groups and the different entry and exit points that you had spoken to. Could you why those two in particular? I mean, I think I have my own reasons, but if you could just share, like what was discussed on your end, and just so our listeners get a sense for why aren't you having it for younger age groups as well?
Great question. And it's all development reasons. We believe that, well, a couple of things. A lot of development is happening between that 14 and 17. I mean, that is prime time, right? It's just after puberty, right?
Yeah.
So things now, you as a coach, you as a development person, clubs can make a difference in really helping develop players, right? Because look, everything before puberty, right, is
almost doesn't count.
Everything changes with puberty.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we also know that us as a department, we know by focusing on those age groups, we can help coaches make a difference, and we can make a difference in players. So that is really why. Now, development is very important at 8 and under, 10 and under, 12 and under, 14 and under, right? But it's a different type of development, right? Like, the ADM, when you think about it, right? Why do we say multi-sport athleticism, multi-sport athletes? Because that's the base that when puberty hits, you're going to build from in order to be a great player. And maybe when puberty hits, you figure out, I'm going to be a baseball player. Well, then good for you, right? So that whole idea of sports sampling to multi-sport athletes, to a primary and secondary sport, right? We talked about that a little bit. That arc is very, very important. But we think USA Hockey, in creating this league, can make a difference with players between those ages by making sure our teams and our coaches and our organizations are doing all the right things. So that's why we changed. We chose those ages. And also because development isn't the same for every kid, and puberty strikes a little bit different times. And we know we have early developers and normal developers and late developers, or shouldn't say normal, on-time developers, because there's no such thing as normal development, right? It is that we need that exit and entry point that goes along with every individual player's development. Now, I'll tell you a story. I don't think I told it on the last podcast. When I was in my previous role as ADM manager, which are now player development managers, and my son was growing up, and I was coaching, a little bit. I didn't really coach much of 6U, some of it, but then 8U, and then 10U, and then 12U, and then 14. And Dr. Steve Norris, who is one of the world's leading experts on long-term athlete development. If you don't know Doc Norris, he was the guy that Sport Canada hired when the Olympics were in Vancouver, right? And he was the one that said, okay, if we want to win a lot of medals 8 years down the road, we got to start training kids when they're 8 years old, right? Because Olympians can enter sports at 16 for most Olympic sports, right? And so this whole idea, so our ADM principles, long-term athlete development, was so much shaped by Jean Cote and Steve Norris and these people that are experts in that field. So I'm going through this with my son and my son's friends and all these kids that I'm coaching, and 8 and under is the most important age.
Right.
And then those kids got to 9, and I realized, oh my gosh, everything I'm hearing, 10 and under is the most important age. And then 12. And I called up Doc Norris one day and we were chatting about it. And I said, Doc, like, I'm bought in and I can see every single player on my team getting better. And, that group of kids that me and these parent coaches worked with, their success at older ages was incredible, right? 3 of those kids have played games in the NHL. Wow. 4 of those kids have played Division I hockey. And then 12 of those kids from the very beginning were on 2 high school state championship, like just incredible things that were happening, right? So I said to him, Doc, I'm so confused. You told me 8 and under was the most important, then 10, and then 12. Like, what's the most important? And he said to me, Bob, the most important development stage is the stage the kid is in.
Right.
That's where I thought you were going.
And then I thought, thanks, Doc. I am the dumbest hockey person in the world, and that I'll talk to you some other time. And I went and I felt shame for a while.
No.
But that's what we have to understand, right? As coaches and as parents, right?
Yeah.
The most important stage is the stage that the player is in at that time. And that, right, leads into that whole idea about being overripe. Right. Just.
Well, speaking of the overripe and the underripe, I was just thinking about this as we're talking and reflecting on, like, crazy parents and how there's a lot of families that chase letters. They just want to be on that AAA team and they'll find it wherever they can. But now that there's yet another level for the older age groups in the development league, I'm curious as far as like what conversations you might have had about, like, families that are now going to even like double, triple down on doing whatever they can to specialize even earlier or commit even earlier to hockey just because they want to get to this for whatever the reasoning is. Have there been conversations or concerns about that?
Yes, and lots of conversations about that. But once again, it's a twofold or two-prong attack, or 3 or 4 or whatever you want to call it. But the first thing, when people bring up that stuff, I think the immediate counter argument has to be, well, that's happening now. So we can't throw away a good idea or a great idea or go down a different path because of the boogeyman. Oh, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Oh, another parent's going to chase something more, right? That's already happening.
Sure. Of course.
Right.
Of course.
So we can't say, oh, let's not do anything. Let's just stay in the cocoon. And right. We can't do that.
Yeah.
All right. So, but education continues to be important. And I mentioned the rehauling of our coaching education program.
Yeah.
We now launched this year a 6U, 8U clinic. And that clinic is not just for coaches, but for first-time coaches. And a lot of 8U associations, they have parent helpers. And it's a 3.5-hour course, half the time of our levels 1 through 4. It's for any parent that wants to get on the ice, any 6U, 8U coach. And it's all this stuff we've talked about. What's important for kids at 6U and 8U, not being overripe, the ADM, long-term athlete development, why cross-ice hockey is so important, why half-ice hockey is so important, right? Why the fitting of proper equipment is so important, right?
Yeah.
Like all of this stuff. So one of the most important things we continue to do at USA Hockey is the education of coaches and the education of parents, right? And if that's the other prong of this attack, right? We, and people do ask me that, right? Like, oh, you're just fueling the fire. because we have to continue to take care of 95% of our business, 95% of our consumers and customers that are playing tier 2 and below.
Right.
Nothing has changed. Our eye on the ball has not been taken away from tier 2. This is what our concentration in player development, in coach education, in membership is all about. But just because we have to, and we are, and we will continue to keep our eye on the ball of tier 2 hockey and below, does not mean we have to ignore that top 5% of players.
Of course.
We can do both. We all should do both.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And hockey for life. Let's keep every single kid in, right? Like, hey, Patrick Kane is one of the greatest American hockey players ever to lace up a pair of skates. At some point, he will be an adult league hockey player.
It's true.
Right?
It's a good point. You don't think about it like that.
We all get there sooner or later, some sooner than others.
No doubt.
That is true. Yes.
Yeah.
So essentially, everything you've talked about tonight, and even on the first pod when we had you, I mean, USA Hockey is firmly entrenched in developing, period, stop. That's the one theme that keeps coming up when we talk to you, Bob, almost in every question, right? And I don't think that you guys get enough at USA Hockey. I don't think you get enough credit for, because you hear crazy parents and like, oh, USA Hockey doesn't do anything. Oh, they just take our money. But I hope more people listen to this stuff because, and I'm not trying to pump USA Hockey's tires, but from the two conversations that we've had together, I mean, you guys really, really are just interested in developing hockey players in the States, period, end of story.
And you know what's interesting? I thank you so much because you've hit it right on the head. And passion, right? If you want to do one thing, anybody who's listening to this, if you want to do one thing that will make your kid the best possible player he can be in the future, is instill him with passion and love for the game. Make it fun, because players don't develop unless it's fun, and players don't stay in the game unless it's fun. I can tell you, when I was the director of player development for the Edmonton Oilers, there are players playing at the highest levels of the game that hate hockey, and they can't wait to get out of it. And it's a job. And you look at some of our players now in the NHL, the ones that are having fun, you can tell, right? You can tell who loves to be out there, right?
Yes.
And if you can do that, we have a chance to make every boy and girl who registers with USA Hockey, give them a chance to fulfill their potential, right? And I think I mentioned the last one, and passion, development, fun, challenging, all of that is so important. And remember, fun is not goofing off. Fun is the environment we create to keep kids in hockey. Because you know what I do know? I know the kid that quits hockey at 11 will not become the best 12-year-old.
That's for sure.
No doubt about it.
He might become the best soccer player.
That's
but
right.
He ain't going to become the best 12-year-old. If he quits the game and goes play something else, he's never, you're right. So we got to keep it fun and instill the passion and the love for the game.
One thing that just came up for me was as far as the development league. So am I correct in saying that it's boys only at this point, or if there's going to be a plan for girls development league teams as well?
So it's a youth development team, and youth is defined. It could be boys or girls.
And girls.
Right.
Okay.
What it isn't right now is we are not introducing a development league for girls. Right. Our girls council looked very hard at this, and they don't feel that the development league is the right step. And we have a tremendous girls council at USA Hockey, headed by Don Gould, and staff liaison is Kristen Saggart. And Don does a great job. That whole council does a great job. And what they do better than anybody in most walks of life is they look at what is good for the girls. What is good for our girls? What is the right step right now for the girls who play hockey for USA Hockey? Not, oh, we got to do that because they're doing it, or we got to do that because the boys are doing it, right? You know, we want to be fair and equitable. Girls hockey is such an important part of what we do, but they have made tremendous decisions in making sure we're on the right path to make as many girls join hockey, develop, have fun, be challenged, fulfill their potential in the environment that's right for girls in USA Hockey. And for some of them, that's playing co-ed hockey. For some of them, playing youth, right? But they have laid out a tremendous path for our girls at USA Hockey, and it's growing. I think we have a very, very good opportunity here where we're going to break 100,000 girls registered in the game of hockey in the U.S. here, hopefully in the next little while.
For this next year, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
my goodness.
And so one other question, which just got me thinking. We'd spoken with Sadie Lundquist from College Hockey Inc., if you're familiar, and she was a great guest. And being a Minnesota native, the Development League will also Minnesota will also be participating in the Development League, because I know that with they have the community model, and just not sure if that is there's any conflict there, if they'll also be part of it.
Well, we don't know, because the applications don't open until May 1.
Right.
We hope, if it's right for Minnesota hockey and right for those kids, we certainly hope they will. But again, this is why multiple paths to get to where you need to go are so important.
Sure.
I mean, essentially what you guys are doing is you're adding another path, another development path along the list of everything else, right? Is that essentially?
We're adding a level to the development path, and by doing so, we reorganized.
Yes, everything below it. Yes.
Exactly.
And I mean, essentially what you're doing is you're making now AAA more competitive, which will then make AA more competitive, which will then make single A more competitive, correct?
Exactly right.
Right.
And keeping the kids, pardon?
No, go ahead. What are you going to say?
Yeah. And what you just said is a big ADM tenet, right? Play with similar ability, play with kids with like ability, because that's how you get better. Right.
And Scott and I have talked on this podcast about how watered down Tier 1 hockey is. Especially in our area, in the Northeast.
It can be.
Right. In our area it is.
Yeah. So earlier when we were, maybe before we started recording, Bob, we were talking about you as maybe taking off your USA Hockey hat and put on your dad cap, but you've lived it, and I'm curious from your perspective, and I'm assuming you're biased somewhat, but like as a parent, if you're with your son who's gone on to have tremendous success, how would this development league maybe factor or not factor into, if it was around when he was coming up? Is this something that would just be a given because it's like, let's call it like the top end talent, or not necessarily?
So let's start with the fact that I had my son play Tier 2 hockey till he was 13 years old. Right?
Oh, interesting.
So he did not play AAA hockey till he was 13. And I felt that was the right entry point for him. And it was development at 6U, 8U, 10U, 12U. It was about development so he could join AAA at the right time, and 13 ended up being the right time for him. Because we live in Michigan, and because that's a Tier 1 environment, I would imagine that if the DL was there and if he was good enough to make it, that's where we would have wanted him. Looking back at him, I probably would not have wanted him to play in the DL at 14. At 13 and 14, he was in Tier 1 hockey, and that was the right spot for him. When he started to pop a little bit was when he was 15 years old, and he could, who knows, right? But he could have very well have been one of those kids that wasn't ready to play DL until he was 15 or 16, right? Which is fine. His development path has been very different. right? Than most, but because he lives in Michigan. Now, if we would have lived in Minnesota, I would imagine his path would have been high school hockey, right? Which would have been great for him as well, and maybe more age appropriate for what his development path was at that time, right? But we are all, and that's one of the things about the DL is, we have to get we have to have good options for all our kids in all areas of the United States. But I'll tell you this, I know for a fact because I ask them, because playing hockey at the highest level, and he just got sent down again on Sunday, which is his path right now, right? He's learning, he's developing as a player, and hopefully he's going to get the opportunity to play in the NHL and hopefully play for a long time. But there's no guarantees, and he knows that, right? Right? But he has to continue to get better. But I will tell you this, even now to this day, I will tell my kid, have fun, enjoy the journey. And I ask him, do you still like it? Are you still enjoying it? And I had this conversation with just recently, and he said, Dad, I love this.
Unreal.
It's all I needed to hear as a dad.
Absolutely.
All I needed to hear. And if he would have told me, no, this is awful, I want to go, whatever, I would have been like, that's great. I support you 100%. Right.
Sure.
So goes back to fun, challenging, right? Passion, all of that doesn't change.
The 17 year age group, which I want just to dive into just a little bit more. And so like that's at that age group, you also have like, you're competing with the USHL, right? The CHL, and now there's a development league, kind of like where, I don't know if I know it's obviously premature and it's not there yet, but how does perhaps USA Hockey see the DL in relationship to junior hockey, either in the States or in Canada?
So I admonished James earlier. Now I'm going to admonish you.
Okay.
Because right away you went to compete, right? You went, how does the DL compete? That's not our job. Our job isn't to compete with the USHL. Our job is to develop as many USA hockey players as we can.
Right.
It's the USHL's job, right, to have space for those players when they're ready.
To
right?
go that,
And if right, so this, once again, this is another one of those things where partnerships and working together is going to be so important, because the last thing we want, and the last thing that the DL is going to be, is a bunch of organizations that are saying, hey kids, stay with us, don't go to the USHL. That's not what we're about. Our job is to develop as many American players as we can. And it's the junior leagues, the North American League and the USHL job is to create the right place for them to go at the right time. That's a partnership.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, essentially what you guys are trying to do is move kids toward, I want to say toward US men's or toward college or toward the NHL, or toward the Olympics. I mean, can we talk about that for a couple minutes? Can we talk about World Juniors and the Olympics that are coming up shortly? And
yeah, absolutely. But remember, what you just said is very true. Our job in the hockey development department is to make John Van Beesbrook's job as hard as possible.
That's right.
Make Mike Sullivan's job as hard as possible. Make those teams in the USHL their job. I want to make every coach in the USHL, I want to make their job to pick players as hard as possible. When we started the NTDP, we had a camp, the 40-man camp, really 25 players were ready. We were choosing from 25.
Right.
Right. Now they have 40 people go to that camp. And guess what? They had to make decisions on players who didn't even make the 40-man camp, who are close to making that team.
Isn't that interesting?
So think about this, right?
The talent level's exploding.
I'll use what's that?
The talent level's exploding.
And we got to continue to make it better, right? Look at what's happening in the NHL. the USA Hockey has continually increased the percentage of players in the NHL.
Absolutely.
Up until these last 3 years, we continually increased the players in college hockey, right? So we have to continue to develop players more and more and more.
Right.
I'm going to use the word approximately because every day it's just a little different by 1 or 2 players who gets called up and who gets sent down. But there's approximately 100 players in the NHL right now, this second, who played at the NTDP. There's approximately 200 players in the NHL right now, this second, who didn't play at the NTDP.
Interesting.
That's how important all the other avenues are. That's how important the North American League is. That's how important the USHL is. High school hockey, prep school hockey, tier 1, the DL. That's how important, because the NTDP only has 46 players there a year, right? 23 on each team. Well, we're producing way more players than that, and we have to continue to produce more players than that.
And provide paths for those players as well that are not NTDP players. Right.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable. So you guys actually have a running tally of how many U.S. players are in it. You guys have like a running number of U.S. players?
Well, I mean, we don't have a tally board or anything like that.
No, but I mean, you guys have a general idea, right?
But we know.
Yeah.
Of course we know. You know, just like we know what our membership is, and it's important, right? Because our membership department does great work bringing kids into USA Hockey. We talk all the time. It's membership and development, right? Membership and retention. They're the membership department.
Retention's huge.
We, in essence, are the retention department, right?
That's right.
Sure.
Right? And, you know, grow the game and keep them in the game. So important.
Yeah. So who's going to win? Who's going to win in the Olympics next month? I mean, are we going to meet Canada in the finals? Is that the
well, first of all, we're so excited that our girls under 18.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Congrats, by the way, on that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh yes.
Amazing accomplishment. So much fun to watch. The coaches and the players deserve so much credit. The general manager, Kristen Saggart, out of our office, so much credit. So much fun to watch, isn't it?
Yes,
like
100%. Yes,
yeah, and it just like our national women's team, so much fun to watch.
Yes,
right now. So congratulations to them.
Yes, congrats.
But
right.
You know, look, our goal is to come back with 3 gold medals. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Right, and we can't be shy in saying that. That's our goal. Is it going to be hard? Yes. May we not make it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of good hockey playing countries right now.
Yes, there
are.
A
lot of good hockey. You saw the World Junior.
Absolutely.
Right? World Junior went to 8-team quarterfinals, and probably 5 teams could have won the gold medal.
No
Sweden,
question.
Great development system, really good, great team they had. But let's not forget it. They won an overtime game in a shootout to get to the gold medal.
Yes,
anybody could. Like last year, they lose that game, right? And this is why we have to be so even keeled, right? And I chuckle at some of the newspaper accounts and the websites and everything else, right? Because right away we lose in the quarterfinal game, and oh my God, everything about our development system is off. Like
we won 2 out of the last 3 years. We got 2 gold medals in the last 3 years.
Oh, here's my best story. I was sitting with a very good friend of mine from the Swedish Ice Hockey Association and told him about the article, and he laughed. And he pulled up an article and he showed it to me from last year when the Swedes lost.
It was the same thing?
And same exact thing, except in Swedish. Some writer in a paper in Stockholm. Oh my God, we got to change everything, right? And that's exactly what we don't have to do. We can't be reactive. We have to have a good plan. We have to make sure that we're looking at our plan and make sure it's the best possible plan every year.
Yeah, it's very true.
Well, listen, Bob, I think we're at a little over the hour mark.
We took you a little long.
This is
sorry,
of course we are.
No, listen,
this is wonderful.
This was huge, and I know our listeners are just gonna love to hear the details about what's coming up, you know, with the DL and USA Hockey. And thank you so much for taking the time tonight, this evening, to share with us and our listeners. You know, I'm personally so looking forward to see how this materializes. You know, and it's just what a great step for USA Hockey.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No,
Thank you so much, Bob. This was wonderful. Again, part 2 was wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it 3, 4, and 5.
All right, Bob. Thanks so much and have a great evening.
Take care.
You too.
All right. Be well.
All right, everybody. We are back from our second interview with Bob Mancini from USA Hockey. I hope that cleared things up for people about the new USA Hockey Developmental League. I mean, it was a lot of information.
Yeah.
Tons of information.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's some posts out there and some other information. I didn't read up too much about it. But, what I thought was really interesting, how they have it, at the 15
and 17 level,
17-year-old levels, and how there's, how he specifically talks about, like on ramps and off ramps. Maybe he used different words.
No,
but,
you're right about that.
But just like, how it,
you can kind of come and go.
Just right. Like if you make it when you're younger, it doesn't mean you're going to be there when you're older.
That's for sure.
And like, people mature at different ages. And so there's an onboarding for kids that are ahead of the curve and, when they're older.
Yeah.
So that made a lot of sense. I am curious though, at the end of the conversation, you didn't really get into it, but how this is going to, work with juniors for like for the 15-year-old age group, there's less kids that are going away from home and like that type of thing. But certainly when you get up to 17, like at that point, like kids will finish their, U16 year. And that's, for those that are playing premier or like elite levels U16.
Yeah.
A lot of them do go on to USHL. Some will even go off to the CHL. So I'm just curious how, that development league will stack up against those options for that age group,
I think it's going to be good for kids. Listen, every time we talk to Bob Mancini, one of the core tenets of everything he says is development.
Right.
Every single question he answers for us, development is woven into it somehow.
Right.
Right. So that's what they're interested in. I think I actually mentioned it like later on in the podcast. Like that's what they're looking to do.
Right.
So they're setting. I know people like break USA Hockey's balls. They don't do anything. They just take your money. What the fuck are they good for? I mean, people in our comment section going, don't listen to anything USA Hockey says. Well,
but I will say what is hard for USA Hockey, I think, is just that they have all of this information and this, the ADM.
They do.
And just they rely on all of the organizations
to follow suit.
To follow suit.
Yes.
And if you're not getting buy-in or you're not getting organizations 100%. That are drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak, then it's like it's kind of, kids, families are not benefiting from all of the research.
Some are not. That's true.
No, plenty are.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think he mentioned our area was one of those areas
where it's not 100%.
They were not really buying in.
100%, but there's a lot less buy-in in this area.
Right. Whereas the new hockey markets,
right,
are more apt to buy into that stuff because they don't have a past history of ice hockey.
Right.
The game is new there, like Arizona and Florida and California, right?
Sure. But it does sound like this development league, that's going to be one of the things that is like a non-negotiable.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Like if you don't follow their model, I meant to ask
like the enforcement,
what
like
the
how
teeth were going to be,
how you're holding accountability.
Yeah.
Accountable.
Listen, they could probably yank the thing from you if you have an organization who's not following suit. Listen, from what I gathered, they're going to have a lot of applications for this thing.
Yeah, no doubt. But then it's like, so what so what does that look like? They're going to have someone come and audit.
I don't know the answer to
like
that.
an on-ice audit to see what practice is like.
Listen, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
but it's going to get interesting.
So that's definitely interesting, and also the fact that there's going to be less games, and that any kid
what did
that
he say,
wants
50, 55, 50.
Did he say 50? I thought it was 60.
I think it was less than that.
It was less than 60?
I think so.
Oh,
I want to say 50, 55-ish.
Either way, it's less.
Like
but
that.
then the kids also can't.
You guys just heard it. Whatever.
Kids need to. That's like the only club they're participating in. Like you're not having a kid doing development league and high school. Right?
Did he say that?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you might be right about that. Listen, they want one game per day. I remember Marsh saying like last year or 2 years ago, he's like, how stupid is two games a day shit.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, Jamie's like, it's so stupid. He's like, the kids are fucking gassed for the second game. He's like, it's too much. He's like, mentally, physically. He's like, it's so stupid. He's like, they should do one game a day. He was saying this like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And look at that.
No, I mean, it
Alec
makes
Marsh
a lot
for
of sense.
USA Hockey job.
Yeah, well, there you go. Shout out, Alec.
That's right. Shout out, Marshy.
No, but the I think for the older age groups, certainly the less number of games, you're lowering the injury potential, the overuse potential. I mean, there's a lot of benefits.
The burnout.
I mean, look, the time will tell how it evolves, but I think the fact that it's being positioned as like above AAA in terms of the pyramid, like you said, is going to draw a lot of attraction. And like there are going to be families that have like NTDP and like whatever other USA Hockey associations there are at the older age groups. Like, so I would be. I'm curious to see if the younger age group is going to be more competitive. Is going to be more competitive than the older age group.
Meaning 15U, that one?
Yeah, not against one another, but meaning like you're going to have like the most concentration of elite players at that age when like there are other pathways, and he talked about other pathways between the prep schools and the whatever else.
Yeah,
if it's going to be as a concentration, but.
It's going to be fascinating to see this thing play out.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
think you actually said that. I mean, it's really going to be interesting to see how this thing actually plays out. I think USA Hockey has good intentions with all of this. I'm curious if there's any way for parents or organizations to ruin it.
Well, I don't think you're going to be able to ruin it.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, look, listen. I think the proof will be out on the ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it might take some time, to get the best version of it in terms of like the organizations.
I think that's true.
But they're also being very selective, right? Like he said, they haven't even received any application, or
they're getting
they haven't made any decisions.
They're getting like interest.
Interest,
they're
right?
Filling out applications of interest right now.
Right. So that process is even underway. So I'm assuming that the organizations that do get accepted into this developmental league are ones that already have a very strong tier 1 program. I would think you're not, where there's already attraction to the organization. That would be my guess.
So I tried to ask him that. Obviously, that's the one where he chastised me, broke my chops. No, actually, he just didn't want to answer it, which I understand exactly why he didn't want to answer it, because he can't answer that question.
But if you're looking for elite talent, right, like you're going to go to the markets or the teams, I would imagine, that are like that have a history of like in our area. Do you think I'd be curious to see if Mid Fairfield is going to be one of them, for example? Is the North Jersey Avalanche going to be one of them?
So obviously, that's what I was getting to when I was asking that. Right, I assumed
is Little Caesars going to be one?
I assumed that the Rockets and the Avalanche for the state of New Jersey. Right, exactly. Right, Mid Fairfield, Penn's elite.
Right, Junior Eagles.
Right. Correct. Right. Exactly right. Like exactly the Minutemen Flames or Worcester Railers, somebody like that. And that's where I was kind of asking him, like, so obviously they have relationships with these organizations over the years, and some of these organizations that don't listen to USA Hockey when they say, hey, try X, Y, and Z, and they say, no, we've been doing this for a long time and we think A, B, and C is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm curious if they're going to maybe hold back some of these, I don't want to call it a charter, or if they don't accept it from a big organization that maybe has not been listening to them for the last 10, 15, 20 years. I don't know the answer.
I mean, if
I tried to get it out of him. Obviously, he was not going to answer it. I didn't expect him to answer it, but I tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting when it plays out. And we'll
be.
see. But I'm really glad that we had the opportunity to speak with him.
It was great,
him share, what's on the horizon, what parents can expect, at least based on the information that they can share now.
Yeah.
And
he's great to have on.
Yeah. No, he's always an awesome guest.
And good luck to Victor Mancini. He just played a bunch of games with the Vancouver Canucks, his son, which I thought was very interesting. Bob said that he did not have his kid play AAA until 13.
You know what's so funny? I think
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, he did say that. He was tier 2 until 13.
Isn't that interesting? Right?
Yes, it is. I could have sworn, and this was, I guess, what game was I watching? I think it was Vancouver, or it must have been the Vancouver Edmonton game.
Right.
And his, I'm almost positive.
Was Victor playing? I think he just played 4 games there.
No,
Bob
yes. And then when I saw Mancini, I was like, I wonder if that's Bob Mancini's kid. Sure enough, it is.
Yeah. Did not play AAA until 13.
Yeah.
And we have all these schmucks not all these, but some schmucks in our comment sections going, you need to be with the top talent all the time.
Why do you turn into Kermit the Frog when you make fun of people? Because if you're not
playing with the top talent, you're not going to go anywhere. Well, you know what? That's really not true. Every kid has his own path.
Yeah, listen to Kermit.
Seriously, because Kermit knows. Because Kermit talks to really smart people in the hockey world. Right?
No, I'm joking.
You know, so you have all these knuckleheads that are going, no, you shouldn't play tier 2. You need to play with the best talent out there because that's how your kid gets better. Okay, fair. But my point is that you don't need to do it when you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? Like, you know, so a lot of you people out there that have, you know, listen, I did it too. When I first got into this, if I didn't have a podcast and was interviewing all these people, you know, I would probably still be thinking in that old school thinking. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that was you.
That was me, 100%. My kid needed to play full ice mites.
He was on 2 different brick teams.
100%. If I needed to do it over again, it would be totally different. Totally different.
Totally different.
Well, totally different.
Dom's still on the younger side of things, and
he is.
You have time to adjust your approach.
I do.
Yep.
I definitely do. Listen, it's all about the development of the kids. If they, like Bob was saying at the end of the interviews, make sure they like it. Make sure they love the game. Right? Because it gets hard, like Doug Christensen says, it gets hard. They need to love the game because it does not get any easier. Right. If they don't love the game, it's really easy for them to, you know, not want to put the work in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So make sure your kids love the game. Make sure they're engaged. Make sure they're having fun. And they will develop on their own time.
That is true.
And that's kind of what this developmental league is for.
Yep.
Right? I think it's another, what did he call it? Another level. Another level.
Yeah.
So I hope that was informational to people. I know there's been a lot of bad information out there like we were talking about. So I'm hoping that this cleared some of it up. Maybe gave you guys kind of and for those of you who didn't know it, this is kind of what's coming.
Yeah.
For youth hockey.
Yep. USA Hockey Developmental League.
But it's designed to make the kids better across the board.
Yep.
Right.
That's it.
So there you go, buddy.
All right, guys. Yeah. Well, listen, great episode.
Yeah,
Good
man.
seeing you again.
50 in the books.
In the books.
Here we go. Look forward to Andres de Villiers from Titan Battle Gear.
Yep.
Next episode. Use our link that's going to be in our description for 10% off Titan Battle Gear. Everybody should go buy it. I know it's not cheap, but we spend enough money on this game, and everybody should have this because it is the ultimate protection for your children.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
All right, buddy.
All right, guy. I'll talk to you.
See ya.
Peace.